Welcome to the Clemson Devcast. It is Tuesday, April 15th. As I speak now, there is an excellent piece on TigerIllustrated.com from Paul Strelo on the Clemson basketball program. Really big picture portal stuff on what's transpired to this point, on what's going to happen from this point, and a really difficult personal situation for the Davidson brothers who are transferring in. Paul is just better than anybody else out there at not just having the information, being on top of all that, but also being able to string it all together and weave it in a way that has context and perspective. So definitely encourage you to go to TigerIllustrated.com right now and check that out. So this podcast has been going since August of 2018, more than 770,000 downloads of more than 340 episodes. And my great friends, Blake Smith and Brooke Archenhold at Parham Smith Archenhold Law Firm, have been a part of it for every single one. They are longtime Clemson people, and they give you the experience and the results you need. Their team can help with personal injury and medical malpractice cases. They currently serve North Carolina and South Carolina with offices in Greenville, Spartanburg, and Charleston. If you or your family has been injured, I want you to help you get the compensation you deserve. Schedule a free consultation by calling 864-301-8767 or by going to parhamlaw.com. That's PARHAMlaw.com. Solero Communications, formerly known as Tandem Payment, is a full-service integrated electronic payments provider powered by leading-edge technology. Solero provides a wide array of merchant solutions, simplified payments. They make onboarding, taking payments, maintaining risk management and compliance, and getting support quick and easy. At Solero, they're all about helping you achieve sustainable growth as a business. Taking payments isn't the only thing your business needs. With Solero's solutions, you can manage inventory, sell products and services via social media, schedule staff, track sales, get reports, and much, much more. Find out more about Solero at solerocommerce.com. That's CELERO commerce.com. When you're ready for a complete renovation in your home or business, open the door to more with Harris Home and Harris Commercial. Their local experienced team will totally transform any room space, from beautiful floor coverings to construction to finished details. Harris handles every step of your renovation process, whether it's a kitchen or living room or an industrial or educational setting, like some of the positively stunning work they've done at Clemson University. Go to discoverharris.com and experience a total renovation transformation from Harris Home and Harris Commercial. All right, I enjoy all the interviews that we do here, but this interview with Ricky Sapp is some of the most fun I've ever had over the course of an hour of talking with interesting people. Ricky is a most interesting person, and he's got just a really wonderful story in so many ways that you're going to hear about here. Enjoy. All right, I'm joined by Ricky Sapp of the Ricky Sapp Foundation. How you doing, sir?
Man, I'm doing great, man. If I was doing any better, I would definitely be you.
I need you to. I've done some social media stalking over the last day or so.
Oh no!
I have some things I need you to answer for.
Okay, what you got?
All right, first, let's see. I'm hoping you can hear this. If you can't, then it's kind of ruined. But all right, I'm just gonna hit play on this, and we'll see. We'll get your reaction.
Oh man! You say what can make you feel this way, my girl?
And now y'all move into this different part of the restaurant, where the people are like, "Who in the hell is this?"
Oh, they were definitely shocked. They were loving it. Oh man,
it's pretty good at this point, right?
Yeah, it's pretty good. We're getting into it at this point. We're getting into it.
But right here, coming up is where it kind of falls apart. All right, I had to spring that on you. Explain yourself. Set the stage. What happened there?
Man, that is funny. But I love to dance. I love to sing. I think I can sing and dance. I'm sure Jock probably told you that I can't do either.
Jock McKissick.
But I was in Colorado, which I love Colorado. I was in Colorado at this Mexican restaurant, man, and they was doing karaoke. And the guy was walking around asking people, "Hey, you want to sing? You want to sing? Well, write your name down, write the song down." And of course, the people that I was with was like, "Man, you gotta sing. This is what you do." So they came to me, and I wrote it. I was kind of thinking of a song, and wrote that down. And sure enough, they brought me the mic when it was my turn. And me and my guy Casey, who played basketball at what did he play? Oh God, my mind going blank. Anyway, we got up and started singing, and they was like, "Who are these two big tall black guys to sing the song?" But they got into it, and man, we had a ball. We had a ball.
Colorado. What were you doing in Colorado?
Man, you know what? I love hiking. I love nature. And Colorado is one of the places that I love to go to. You know, I'm gonna just say this: Colorado is a hidden gem, man. Like if you've never been, it's beautiful. Everything is spaced out. It's beautiful mountains. So, and I also go there a good bit to speak as well. But I go to Colorado as much as I can. And I love it out there. And I love hiking.
All right, I have another one.
Oh no! Yeah.
This has maybe more substance. Sorry,
Gotcha.
nothing. No offense to your singing. I'm going to go ahead and play on this one.
Okay. Oh yeah, this is my joint. Oh, I'm gonna let it shine.
This is in the Clemson football meeting room with the whole team.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hey guys, look, I will always be thankful for this family, man. I'm a Clemson guy. The rest of my life, I'll be part of this family. And I'll be around, guys. I'm not leaving. I'll be here working out. I'll be here checking for you guys. I pray that you guys understand now why I give you guys so much energy, so much love, so much attention, and why I did all that dancing. Give me something. Give me something. I gotta give it to you, but go now, AC.
Ricky!
I gotta dance y'all these one last time,
Oh man. Oh, I had to bust the dance move out.
Now you can dance. That's A plus.
Double kicking that.
Hey, the listeners can't see this, but I can vouch. He can dance.
Man, you know what's cool about that was after me and Coach Sweeney had a conversation about me leaving. You know, I went to him, which was screamingly hard because I didn't want to leave, but I know that motivation speaking and traveling was what I wanted to do. So I went to Coach Sweeney. I said, "Look, Coach, man, I want to speak, man. And, you know, unfortunately with the NCAA rules, I can't do both, you know." So Coach Sweeney said, "Go do it." But what Coach Sweeney said was, he said, "I'm not letting you go out of here until you speak to the team, because I got to know that you can do this." So Coach Sweeney said, "What's your schedule?" Because, you know, Coach Sweeney brings in speakers, and he said, we'll put you on the schedule and you speak to the team. And you talk about life coming in full circle, man. God is so good, man. I had the opportunity to speak to the team, and Matthew 5:16, you know, it talks about let your light shine. That song that I sung, you know, just a lot of mine, that's who I am. You know, I believe in letting my light shine. And, you know, working at Clemson, one thing I did was I did a lot of dancing. I did a lot of screaming and shouting and giving them energy. And in that video, at the end, I told them, I said, "Guys, now you guys understand why I gave you guys so much energy and why I did all that dancing." And that was to, you know, encourage you guys and motivate you guys, but also, you know, let my light shine on you guys, man. So that was a special moment for me. And I had to sing and dance for him one last time.
And you said NCAA rules wouldn't allow you to do what?
Well, you know, working at a college, especially a college sports, I'm not allowed to talk to kids that's recruitable. So,
okay.
yeah, so that's why I couldn't I couldn't do both. And for the longest, it was just tugging on me. And I was like, man, I really want to speak. I couldn't speak to kids that was, I think 12 or older. Cause I was doing some speaking when I could, but I couldn't speak to kids that was 12 or older. So that thing was tugging on my heart for a long time. And I, prayed and prayed about it, and finally went to Coach Sweeney, and we had an amazing conversation about it.
Yeah, I had Jock McKissick on the podcast about a month ago, and I think I saw did he have you on his podcast, or did you have him? I forgot what it was.
I had him on my podcast. I got my own podcast. It's called Talk to Me Tuesday. Yep.
Anyway, I saw that. I saw that, and I sent him a text, and I said, "Dang, I just now realized Ricky Sapp is no longer at Clemson." Shows you how little I've been paying attention, I guess. Or I guess it shows you how many people are over there. I mean, it used to be the support staff of like 10. Now it's like 300. And so it's hard to, But he said, he wanted to travel the world and speak to the youth. I thought that was really, really cool. Just very simple, but very powerful.
Yeah. That's what I want to do. Yeah.
Can you set the stage just for people who don't know? You went to Clemson to work with the strength staff in, was it 21?
2022 of January when I came. Yep.
Okay. And I guess the reason it was surprising that you were no longer at Clemson is because most people don't leave. People are just so content there, and it's just such a fulfilling place. Can you just share what that was like, going through sort of wrestling with sort of this passion that you had, trying to balance that with, working for the program and being in such a place you wanted to be?
Well, I'll say this, when I was an athlete here, I didn't realize, how blessed I was to be here. I didn't realize how really special this place was. When you're a kid, man, you don't appreciate things like you should appreciate it. So when I came back, knowing that I love nature, I was like, holy crap, Clemson is so much nature around here. But coming back to Clemson, Coach Sweeney, does an amazing job with all that staff, with just making it such a family environment. I mean, Clemson in general is one big family. So it's hard to leave that place, man. It is. It's hard to leave that place because it's such great leadership. You got a family. This is a great place for a family. So going back there and working there and being on the other side of it as a coach, it was truly amazing, man, to see Coach Sweeney from that perspective. Because as a player, you see him as a coach, but to come back and work for him, it was truly amazing. One thing that I'll say that stood out to me was how he holds his coaches accountable. That thing, you talking about, that thing shocked me, man. Coach Sweeney does not shy away from holding people accountable. So it was truly amazing, man. It was tough to have that conversation with him. It was tough to make the decision to do it. I prayed and prayed about it. I'm a personable guy, so I had just deep relationships with those guys, close relationship with those guys. And just finally one morning, man, I was sitting in my office about 6 a.m. before a session, and I felt like, God spoke in my spirit. He's like, listen, it's time for you to go have a conversation. So, of course, I spoke to Coach Baxter first, and then, I went and spoke to Coach Sweeney about it. Yeah.
Was it just the tug of, you just didn't feel fulfilled if you weren't doing the motivational thing, the speaking to kids?
Well, I was doing that in a sense with being a strength and conditioning coach, because I was feeding those guys. But in my heart and in my spirit, I felt like what I was supposed to be doing is traveling to schools and speaking in schools. Honestly, I felt like um, I wasn't supposed to be in one place. You know, I felt like I needed to be going everywhere. You know, strength and conditioning was something that I was passionate about, and I wanted to, get the opportunity to get on the college level and see what it was like. And it was amazing, but I just felt that tug on my heart. Like, look, man, you're in one place. You need to be out spreading this energy and motivation and encouragement to all kids. And so that's what was tugging on my heart. And, like I said, I prayed and prayed about it. And, finally had that conversation with Coach Sweeney. And it was an amazing conversation. The first thing Coach Sweeney said when I told him, the first thing I said to him, I said, Coach, I want to go speak, but I know I can't do this because of NCAA rules. I can't do both. And he said, no, you can't. And then I said, man, I want to go speak and travel the world. Coach Sweeney looked at me and he said, man, go do it. Go do it. Go do it. And then, of course, he gave me the opportunity to speak to the team. Yeah.
So what was your job during your time with the strength and conditioning program?
So my job was, of course, I was working with D linemen. I was the assistant to Coach Dennis Love. But I also, believe it or not, people will laugh at this, I played defensive end. My own guys I had were the quarterbacks and then the specialists. So those were my babies. Those were my guys that I had to train every day. So that was my responsibility. I had the quarterbacks and specialists, and then I would assist with the D liner. That's what I did, and it was funny. I told the quarterbacks, I was like, man, I'm training y'all behind, man, and I chase y'all all my life. Now I'm training y'all to go and get away from quarterback. Defensive end. So it was just funny. And Coach Sweeney thought it was funny too. He was like, man, you play D and now you training quarterback. So that was my job at Clemson in the weight room.
You said something earlier that sort of made me laugh because I think most people inside the program and who follow it closely know this, but the vast majority of people who just look at things on a surface level, social media and such, don't really grasp. And that is the behind the scenes intensity and the fire that burns in that head coach. And I've always said he's got a lot more in common with Nick Saban than people think. In that, the casual sort of perception of him is, he's just this old shucks Forrest Gump running down the hill and happy go lucky and nothing but love and this and that. And not that that's not authentic, but at his core, he's a dang cutthroat competitor. And I'm sure you saw a lot of examples of that during that 2022 season because it wasn't all peaches and cream, especially in late October and November.
I was there 22 and 2023, right before they played Duke. So I was there for about 2 years. People don't understand this, man. Coach Sweeney is a huge competitor. He's passionate, and he's all about, of course, his faith. He's all about ball. He's all about trying to develop people. But the one thing that I love about him and I learned from him was that he does not shy away from holding people accountable and confrontation. Man, listen to me, man. I don't know how many people listen to this, but hear this. Coach Sweeney holds everybody in that building, everybody accountable. I'm talking about all the way down to the people in the bistro, in the cafeteria. I'm talking about everybody at the front. He holds people accountable, and he does not shy away from calling you out and saying, "Hey, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. I need more." And when I saw that, man, I was like, holy crap. I I freaking love it. You know, as a player, we weren't in those meetings with coaches. But when I came back to work for him, you know, I was in those meetings and I'm like, holy crap. You know, look, let me tell you something. He's passionate and he will get on you, man, about, you know, making sure you're doing your job. When he said best, it's a standard. Oh, he ain't talking about holding hands and saying kumbaya. He means that. And he demands that from everybody every day. You know, the one thing I always worry about him is this, man, I pray he get rest when it's time to get rest, because I'm telling you, man, when he's in that building, he hammers that. Best of the standard. Do your job. If you ain't doing your job, I'm going to let you know about it. So, you know, I love to tell people that because people don't see that from the outside looking in. What you just said is they see this happy, passionate guy and they think that he's happy-go-lucky, easy-going. That's not the case. You go in that building and don't do your job, oh, he gonna let you know about it. And I love and respect that so much more about him.
Some of the, I guess, the best examples of coaching, of being a leader, I guess, is how a coach handles people in the wake of a really bad performance.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been some in the last couple of years, the ones that stand out, the quick turnarounds. You know, when you turn around, you know, and the world's fallen apart after a bad showing, and then a week later, it's like, oh wow, how'd they win that game? You know, the one that comes to mind to me is one that it came after you left. It was after they lost at Miami and NC State back-to-back games in 2023. Tyler from Spartanburg, all that, the week of the Notre Dame game. I mean, even players said, like, he called out every single person in the building, including, like, the guy who cuts the grass. Said,
oh, yeah. You know,
y'all's jobs are on the line. One of the sequences that sticks out to me of during your time there was when y'all go to Notre Dame in November of 22 and get just obliterated.
Yeah.
And then turn around the next week. Louisville's coming to town, a good Louisville team that was capable of beating you. And then you win 31-16. Can you maybe give me a window of what that week was like, and maybe sort of enlightening people on how a leader is able to sort of turn things to the point where you're performing at your best, even when the world is just burying you after a really debilitating loss in South Bend?
He's the ultimate leader, man, when it comes to motivating people and encouraging people. He's not the type of leader that's going to come in after a loss and say, "Hey guys, let's kind of feel sorry for ourselves." You know, like, no, man. He came in that building and was on fire like he always is. Like, hey, look, let's get back to work. We got to do this better. We got to work on this. We got to continue live the standard, best is the standard, and we got to go out and win this game. And, you know, the one thing Coach Sweeney always say is, we can't let Clemson beat Clemson. We can't lose to Clemson. And he hammers that. And, you know, that was one of the things that he said after that game, because that Notre Dame game, man, we started off with some missed assignments and some errors. You know, so the one thing that he said after that was, look, we can't lose to Clemson. Let's get back to work. This is what we got to work on. Coaches, make sure you're holding you guys accountable. Make sure we doing what we have to do. Let's go win. You know, so the one thing I say this, man, he is the ultimate leader, especially when it comes to motivating you. Let me tell you something. That sucker will motivate. He'll motivate any and everybody, man. And he does a really good job of that. Really good job of that. And he does a good job of preaching to the guys like, hey, this is one game at a time. The last game is over. This is a new week. This is our opponent. Let's go to work. Let's focus on this team. hey, let's go 1-0. Each week he says that, hey, let's go 1-0. Let's go 1-0. So that was kind of what was said after that game, man. He just came in, like he always is, full of attention, full of energy and fire, and like, hey, let's go to work. Let's go to work.
Tell me about your book, Dream Big. When did it come out? And tell me about the process.
What's funny about that is this month is the 1-year anniversary. I dropped my book, Dream Big, last year during this time. And as a motivational speaker, the first thing people always ask you is, where's your book? You should write a book. And John Gordon, who, he comes into Clemson every year. I had to pick his brain. I was like, hey, man, I want to be speaking. And he's like, all right, where's your book? I was like, man, I'm not writing a book. Why am I writing a book? He was like, you need to write a book. So I was like, well, what am I call it? He said, what's your foundation motto? I said, Dream Big. He said, that's the name of your book. So after years of people telling me and then speaking to him, I was like, all right, I got to do it. So last year, got the title for it and started writing it. And then last year around this time, it came out. And my book is it's for kids. And it just tells my story, how I got into playing football, how I got in some trouble, and then how I eventually got to Clemson and went to the NFL and became the first person in my hometown to go to the NFL and first person in my family graduated from college. So I'm excited about it. And, it's a 1-year anniversary of it, and definitely thankful.
Well, congratulations on that.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm scrolling through your Instagram, man. What's that?
I said some good dancing and good stuff. Right?
You're just all over the place. I see you dressed up as an elf by a Christmas tree. I see.
Yeah.
I see the dancing. Yeah. I see you with a buggy full of groceries on Thanksgiving, helping people in Bamberg. And I mean, I love it. And everybody loves it. It's amazing. The most remarkable thing to me is I covered you when you were at Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
And you wanted nothing to do with public public speaking. Nothing. What happened?
Thank God, man. He revealed that to me as I was, I didn't think I was, but at the time when I was transitioning out of the NFL, man, it's crazy enough. I started listening to guys like Eric Thomas, Brian Dawkins, Ray Lewis, and I would listen to them as I was towards the end of my NFL career, and I was like, in my mind, I was like, man, I would say this different. And then sure enough, what happened is I got asked to come speak to this high school, North Myrtle Beach High School, and I took some stuff from Ray Lewis, Brian Dawkins, and Eric Thomas. I kind of took some stuff from them, spoke to the team, and then shortly after that is where God showed me that, my purpose is to work with kids and to travel the world and do motivational speaking. And I said, are you freaking kidding me? I took speech classes all my life. I took public speaking at Clemson and hated it. I didn't want to speak. So that was kind of how God revealed it to me. He was like, hey, man, I want you to do motivational speaking. And after I spoke to that school, it seems like every other day people was asking me to come speak. And that's how God kind of revealed it to me. He was like, I want you to do motivational speaking. And then I asked the question, I said, well, God, if you want me to do that, what the heck do I tell these kids? And he gave me a message to tell them. And, my message for kids is that they have the power and authority to help change the world and make it a better place than what it already is by using 3 words: lead, fearless, and dream big.
Now, I've seen plenty of players who they don't like public speaking, like they're not big fans of sitting there in front of the cameras and recorders, which is natural. Of course, I have nothing against that at all. But there are some players who are like that in public, but in the locker room, they're totally different. You know, when they're around their comfort zone and they cut up. And were you that?
Yeah.
You were pretty talkative and entertaining behind the scenes and just not in public, or was it you were quiet on both ends?
I definitely was, talkative and loud, in the locker room around the guys. And, I always had good energy. And I always had people that would tell me, it was like, man, you got a great personality, man. You need to show up more. You need to talk more. Naturally, I was kind of shy when I was young, and I didn't talk to a lot of people. Believe it or not, a lot of my Clemson teammates now that I played with will say, like, man, when we was at Clemson, I didn't know you was this cool. I didn't know you was this, you know what I'm saying? Because I only really hung out with a couple people, of course, the Quan Bowers and, Brian Maxwell and the guys I kind of came in with. But even still, if you ask a lot of those guys that I played with, they would tell you that, yeah, in the locker room, he was different. He was loud and would talk. But just when I just never in a million years thought about motivation speaking. That's something that never came to my mind. So it was kind of one of those deals like, hey, behind the closed doors with the guys, I was definitely, loud and more talkative.
Can we go through your football journey to, I guess, starting towards the end at Clemson? You tore your ACL against Virginia at the end of your junior year in I'm sorry, 08.
08. Yep, 08.
Yeah, that was as Dabo was auditioning for the job, going against Eugene Monroe, I believe, right?
Yep, sure was. Yep.
First injury of your life.
Ever. Yep. Yeah. It was devastating because I've never been hurt a day in my life like that. Never. And here I am going against Eugene Monroe, who was an amazing offensive tackle. This was a great battle that, everybody, all the scouts wanted to see. We wanted to see it too. And I remember me and Eugene Monroe talking to each other like, hey, let's go, let's work, let's battle. Having that injury was tough for me mentally because I never hurt a day in my life. And I had no idea what was going to come next. I didn't know what I was going to do. So to be honest with you, I didn't rehab for maybe a week or two, man, because I was just that down in the press. Because I was like, man, what the heck am I going to do now? So there were talks about me even potentially leaving school early at the beginning of my junior year. And I had that in my mindset. So when I got that injury, it was like, man, that's out the window. But how do I come back from this? I've never had this kind of injury. So it was, for me, that injury was devastating.
So at the moment that, I guess a couple of weeks later, Dabo Swinney's got the job after they beat South Carolina, maybe the lowest moment of your football life.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%. Yeah, 100%. Definitely the lowest. Getting hurt, yeah.
And did you come back in 09 from the injury at the right time? Did you come back a little too early? ACLs are always just so tough it's so tough to know when is the right time to come back, when to, resume all the full go and all that stuff.
Yeah, and it's a whole lot different now with ACL. I mean now they're definitely more aggressive. Then people definitely come back even faster. Honestly, I think I should have took a medical red shirt year, in my opinion. I still came back and was affected and I think dominant, but I think a full year of not playing would have helped me mentally and physically as well. I still had a great rehab session with Dan Poole and his staff and all that good stuff. But I think mentally taking a year off would have been amazing for me. But, I was ready to play, man, and ready to get to the next level. So I should have definitely took a year off and kind of, I guess redshirted and just got healthy and got my mind right.
And with Philly, with the Eagles, you got hurt again, right? Maybe
Yeah.
ankle?
Yeah. Actually, I had microfracture in the same knee.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Microfracture injury in the same knee. Yep.
And then you were on, gosh, it feels like 20 years ago, but in June of 2020, we were on the podcast and you went into great detail about during that time and even well after. You went into some serious depression, and you weren't talking to anybody. I think that's what I remember from that conversation. As people says, "Man, you need to talk to somebody," and you were just sort of keeping it all inside. Can you maybe look back and share what some of the lowest moments were during those several years? I guess as you went through what just about every major big time football player goes through when the end comes and you're trying to figure out, like, who am I?
It's tough when you go from being the guy to being the third or fourth guy or afterthought. All my life, man, I was the guy. And that ACL injury started me on, getting injuries after injuries. And it affected me mentally. I was also kind of going through some stuff that I brushed off growing up as well. So you add that in with now, all of a sudden, my career is not going how I thought it would go, in the NFL and even at Clemson somewhat. But in the NFL, when my career wasn't going how I expected it to go, and then for me to transition out like I did, that hit hard. And I tell you how hard it hit, man. I stayed in my house, man, for almost about a year or 2 years depressed. And my depression had got so bad that I thought I had bed bugs. But what they said I had was some kind of depression disorder. It got so bad, and this is the God's honest truth, man. Every time I would lay down, I felt like I had bed bugs crawling on me. I left my house at the time. DeQuan Bowers had a house in Myrtle Beach. He was still playing in the NFL, but his house was empty. I said, man, I'm gonna go stay at your house, man. I went and stayed at his house, still felt the bed bugs. Left his house, got a hotel room, still felt the bed bugs. Left one of the hotel rooms, called down the front desk and said, hey man, I need another room. And then eventually that's when, I went to a doctor and was like, yeah, you got, I forgot what they call it, some kind of depression disorder. So I was embarrassed, man. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I was going to do because football was my identity all my life, man. So that was a tough, tough time for me trying to figure out, all right, what do I do next? Am I going to play in the NFL again? And, how am I going to, at that time, how am I going to go back out into the world and tell people, like, I'm no longer Ricky Sapp, the football player. So that was a real rough time for me.
And there has to be so many former players, I mean, who go through the exact same thing
100%.
because it comes at such a young age. Your identity since you were probably whenever it was clear you were the best player on the field or the court, maybe 5 years old. That's your identity. Yeah. And then at 20, what, 22?
Yeah, somewhere in there, yeah.
You start thinking about, oh wow, the end is near. That's just crazy to have to deal with that type of thing that early in life with your brain still developing.
Yeah, it was tough, man. Mentally, it was really tough, and I wasn't answering the phone for nobody besides my agent and my financial advisor, and I think one or two best friends. because,
Not your parents?
no, man, I wasn't even talking to them because I was so down and out. I was like, man, there's no way I'm not playing in the NFL again. Like, there's no way that this is going to be the end. So I was just so depressed and down and embarrassed. I was like, man, I ain't talking to nobody but my agent and financial advisor. Because I want to know, hey, what's the next NFL team I'm going to? What are we going to do? So I wasn't talking to nobody, man. Not even the Quan Bowers, who is a close friend. Not even my other close friends, man. So I wasn't talking to nobody during that time, man. So it was when I say I was down and out and depressed, it was rough. And again, it took for God to um, pick me to North Beach High School and speak. And then they asked me to be a volunteer coach. I said no the first time. Second time they asked, I was like, all right. One of my only good friends I was talking to was like, you need to go do this. It'll take your mind off of the fact that you're not playing football. Well, long story short, at that school was where I fell in love with kids, man. I just felt so much energy, love, and attention being around them. That's where God was like, listen, your identity is not football. Your identity is tied with me, and your purpose is to encourage the youth. And then let me tell you what God did. He took me on a journey where I worked with every age group. I worked in a group home. Then, believe it or not, somebody taught me into being a substitute teacher. So I worked with every age group as a sub. Then I coached high school football. Then I get the opportunity to come to Clemson and work with the college kids. So I've worked with every age group to now I can say, hey, I can go talk and motivate any age group.
Do you remember the day that it turned around for you? Was it a day? Was it a minute? Was it like a moment? Or did it take longer than that?
Man. So at North Beach High School in 2014, 15, my last year in the NFL, I was at North Beach High School, and I was a volunteer coach for the football team. After the football season, towards the end, the receiver coach, Coach Johnson, asked me to be his assistant coach for JV basketball. One night after a game, me and him were talking to two kids. It was one kid standing in front of him, and then the kid standing in front of me. He was the best player on the junior varsity basketball team. And we was talking, and I was getting on him, and he said something along the lines like, "Coach, man, why are you so hard on us, man? Why do you even care so much?" And I look at the kid and I said, "Man, I love you, man. I do. I love you." And that was the moment where it changed. That was the moment that God showed me my purpose. That was the moment where the light bulb came on. It was like, oh, holy crap. I'm supposed to be working with kids. Now, before that moment happened, I remember telling my good friend, like, man, when I'm around these kids, I'm feeling something, man. I'm feeling some. My spirit is just feeling. It's feeling good. It's feeling right. Like I'm loving it. But I didn't want to love it because I was Ricky Sapp, the football player. I didn't want to work with no god doggone kid. I didn't want to feel the love that I was feeling for the kids, but I couldn't run from it, man. And that very night was when everything changed. And, God showed me that my purpose was work with kids. And he said football was just one of the gifts that I gave you to be able to do to set you up now to be able to go and talk to kids and tell them about your journey, So yeah, I remember that. I remember like yesterday, that night when everything changed.
Do you do players, I guess, who are maybe going through similar sort of, the knowledge, the realization that football's over and it's sort of fresh for them, do you ever talk to those types of cases, like just sort of giving your wisdom and testimony?
Oh, 100%, 100%. Because, now everybody's kind of talking about it, talking about, some things they went through and, some things they went through mentally. I think, the one thing about athletes, especially football players, we very prideful, and we're not going to talk about stuff. I even say this in NFL locker rooms, man, when you hear about guys going through some financial situations where they make some bad investments and bad deals, that could have been avoided by just having conversations. But again, as athletes, I think, especially as football players, we're so prideful, we don't talk about stuff. But now that it's kind of out in the forefront, now people are having a lot of conversations. People that now went through it, former teammates, and even, now they will come to me and be like, hey, man, I'm kind of going through this. How did you deal with it? Give me some details and, tell me how can I work through it. So, yeah, I have several conversations all the time with former athletes about that.
Upstate foodies, want to take a moment to talk to you about our favorite taco spot, Willie Taco. 5 locations across the upstate. This award-winning team has been serving up fresh taco fusion for a solid decade now. The chefs at Willie Taco utilize the freshest, most creative, and sometimes unexpected ingredients in their kitchens. Come see why Southern Living, Garden and Gun, and Food and Wine Magazine are raving about Willie Taco and their signature offerings, such as their Southern Tide, crispy avocado, Nashville hot chicken tacos, literally flavors you will not find anywhere else, folks. And don't forget about the cocktails. Super fresh margaritas, ice cold cerveza, and over 80 tequilas served up daily from behind the bar. So don't wait, folks. Your Willie Taco Familia is ready to serve you up their twist on funky, fresh fusion. It's the Willie way. Another loyal supporter of the Dubcast is Blackacre Law Firm in Greenville, a subsidiary of Parham Smith and Archenhold. Blackacre helps South Carolina residents achieve their dreams of home ownership by providing experienced, professional representation for real estate closings. Attention to detail is crucial in real estate law. Blackacre is committed to making sure nothing gets by them preparing residential or commercial closings. Blackacre also offers estate planning services for their clients in the Greenville area. Find out more about Blackacre at 864-326-3507. Listen up, Clemson Tiger fans. Founders Federal Credit Union has a new office right on campus in the Hendricks Center. We're here to serve you with the financial tools you need and the personalized service you deserve. Not on campus, Founders has an office conveniently located on Old Greenville Highway. Stop by or visit foundersfcu.com to learn more and apply for a membership. Relax, you're with Founders. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. As a former 5-star recruit, everything, what is your take on the fact that now those types of prospects, players, are making a crap ton of money right off the bat?
I need my back pay.
What'd you say?
I need my back pay.
You saying you're going to join the lawsuits?
Hey, me and CJ Spiller need some god doggone back pay. Especially CJ. I will always be for the guys getting paid. I think they should get paid. Now, I do think they should have probably went about it a different way because they open up a can of worms. But I love it. I definitely think they should get paid. But again, I just think that they kind of should have went about it a different way, especially with the whole transfer portal thing, in my opinion.
You mean more guardrails, sort of more structure to it?
Yeah, more structure, man. And then, back when I got doggone played, if we transferred, we had to sit out a whole doggone year. And I'm not saying those guys should have to do that, but I am saying that they should, in my opinion, they should put a cap on this thing, and they should change when they open and close the transfer portal. In my opinion, that's what I think. It's
almost like we've gone from one just ridiculous extreme where Terrell Pryor, like it's a national scandal that he got some free tattoos. And where it's an NCAA violation if a coach gives you a bottle of water on a recruiting visit.
which is ridiculous.
Now it's just a free for all. Like anything goes, And I just wonder, like, as you're looking back at 17-year-old Ricky Sapp, freshman at Clemson in 2006, how would your path be different? How would your brain be different, I guess, if you, in your freshman year in 2006, had $2 million in your bank account?
I would have ate really good, and I wouldn't have went hungry a lot of nights. Because the ugly truth is, man, there's a lot of nights I wouldn't have been hungry.
Really?
It was. Oh yeah, I wouldn't have been hungry a lot of nights. Because back then we didn't have that cafeteria you got now, and then of course the on-campus cafeterias were closed at a certain time. I think, but now it's a whole lot different. But I'm not really sure how my path would have changed. The only thing I can think of is that it definitely would have helped me and my family.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been able to, help my mom and dad. I had kids when I was in college. So thinking about that would have helped tremendous with being able to help them out and provide for them. That would have changed early on in my career, 100%.
So you don't, and I'm certainly not, I don't think there's a right or wrong in this because it's such a complicated issue. You don't think there are any, I just want to explore your thoughts on sort of what money can do to the mind of an 18-year-old, regardless of who it is. Like I know, if, my 18-year-old self, if I had, $100,000 in my bank account when I was a freshman or sophomore in college, I probably wouldn't have gone to class. My mind would have been on other things. So I'm just curious for your thoughts on that part of it, and maybe the pros and cons, if there are any cons in your mind.
Well, I was already not going to class. I was already not going to class a lot. But that's when I say I think they should have did it a different way. That's kind of what I mean, man. Because you talking about giving a kid that's 18 or 17 millions of dollars. What are you expecting them to do with it? That can definitely change the perspective of how hard we need to work. That can change the perspective of I don't need to go to this or go to class to do something like that. And because here's the thing about money, especially as a young kid, you don't know what you don't know. And then, money has no character. Money takes on the character of the person that has the money. So you talking about giving fapping 18, 17-year-old kids money and not educating them, which I will say this, Coach Sweeney does an amazing job with that, with Paul Journey and just trying to educate them. But I just think that we should have went, not we, like I was involved, but they should have went about it a different way with giving them all this money. They should have started off by saying, hey, look, we will educate y'all behind first. And then I'll just say this, I think they should have did something along the lines where they should have said, look, we'll give you a stipend after each game. Like in the NFL, you only get paid for during the season. I think they should have started off with that and then started working towards the NIL stuff. But that's just my opinion. But like I said, I will always be for the guys getting paid because I think they deserve it.
I kind of was startled a few months ago. I was going back and reading an article from 2015, I believe it was. And I was writing about all the bonuses that Dabo Sweeney got for the team going to the playoff and the national championship game. And so it's like, okay, he gets, basically it added up to like $1.2 million in bonuses, I think it was, and for, including $400,000 for his players' academic progress rate being a certain number. And then in the next paragraph, it says, Clemson's players, meanwhile, are excited to get their backpack, their Orange Bowl backpack, and like a Sega game or something. And in the moment when I was writing it, Ricky, like it didn't strike me as being like crazy. But in hindsight, it's like, oh my goodness, is this? Are these things that in your dialogue with teammates? I'm going back to 06 to 09, your college career. I mean, as y'all are like downtown and you see people walking around with a number 7 jersey on, and you're like, man, they're making all this money, and I don't even like. It's like a federal crime for me to get a extra bag of Skittles. Are you talking? Is that a regular part of the conversation even back then?
Yes, it was. And the one thing that I remember being at Clemson was thinking about my mom and dad and thinking about the other parents that had to come to the game and see so many fans wearing their kids' jersey, where a lot of parents were struggling to get to games, man. You know, how is that right? How can we sit here and say, like, man, these college football players are here to help, help win games and bring in all this money, where it was times where I didn't even have 2 pennies to rub together. How is that right? How is it right that my mom and dad had to, and other families had to, not struggle, but have to worry about, all right, I got to make sure I set aside this money to travel to this game and do that. It's crazy to think about it when you think about it now, but we had those conversations back then, man, when we played, but, we didn't know how to go about changing it. And that's why I give kudos to this generation. I mean, the one thing about this generation of athletes and kids in general, they ask questions. They push back and they say, hey, hold on now. Why are you doing this and we not getting this? And I would never say that a player should get what coaches get, but they should definitely get something, definitely should get something. I just think about how I could have helped my family, how my mom and dad shouldn't have never had to worry about getting to a game and having to worry about gas money and hotel money and stuff like that.
What was, you mentioned you had kids in college. I don't believe I knew that. How are they doing now? And how did that experience sort of shape you?
Man, I had to grow up and be mature and mature. And, that was definitely a learning experience for me. I have a son and 2 girls now. And at the time I had my son and my oldest daughter. They are doing amazing now. My son plays football at Wofford. He'll be a senior next year. And my daughter is a sophomore at Kennesaw State. And my youngest daughter is about to be 18. So they're all doing great now. They're all doing great. All doing great. Thank you for asking.
I say this just to get a laugh, but I covered you. I covered you. You were a player. I was obviously older than you, and your 3 kids are older than my 2 kids.
I started young, 18.
You also on one of your Instagram posts, you came back to is it the Alumni Center? Is that what it's called? They're still finishing up.
Spring game last weekend, yeah.
And you typed up RICKYS, and there it is, pops up. There's Ricky Sapp, graduate, had your signature in lights. Yeah. How cool is that to see? And then your decision to come back and get your degree, because as you said, you didn't go to all your classes when you were playing. You had to come back and do some making up. What has that degree done for you, and how valuable is it in a time when a lot of folks say, oh, these college athletes, it's all a sham, and the degrees don't even mean anything anyway?
The one thing that they'll never be able to take away from me is my college degree from Clemson University. Clemson University, I know I don't have to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. that carries weight when you tell somebody, I got a college degree from Clemson. And I want to be clear, we have to go to class. We have to go to study hall. That's Coach Sweeney and the whole staff, and that whole staff at it used to be called Victory Hall, but it's called Neary. They work together. They demand that. So I didn't, just not go to class. I just was a knucklehead and missed some classes. I had to work, man, for that degree, man. I had to work, with the tutors. I had to work to get that degree, and to come back and to see that alumni building. I have no idea who idea it was, but God bless them. It is amazing. And that's just one of the things that make Clemson so special. When you talk about there's something in these guy doggone hills, and this is a family-oriented place. So, man, I've been so many places in the world, and when people see that Clemson part, they say, "Man, you went to Clemson," or "Man, I went to Clemson." So it carries weight, being a part of that program. And I said this earlier to you, as a young athlete, I didn't appreciate it how I appreciate it now. And man, I just thank God that I can sit here and say that I am a part of that Clemson family. The amazing fans, the amazing people, everybody involved with the whole city of Clemson. It's just, if I had to go back and do it all over again with the recruiting process, I'm picking Clemson 100 times. And like Coach Sweeney said, I'm going to buy stock in Clemson every guy doggone time.
Ricky, what can we share with the listeners about the Ricky Sapp Foundation that we haven't covered already? I guess the website is therickysappfoundation.com. Is there anything else that you'd like to share to how people can help and be a part of it?
Man, the motto for my foundation is Dream Big, Live Big. I have several events throughout the year for kids in my hometown and also in Myrtle Beach. I'm having my football camp coming up June 7th. So my foundation is a nonprofit 501(c)(3). So definitely always looking for, people that I can connect with. Definitely always looking for donations. Definitely always looking for some sponsors. So would love for people to jump on and check out that event, donate. I'm taking book bags because I give out book bags at my camp as well. So go to my website, check out the event. If you can donate book bags, if you can just make a donation to help the cause, that would be amazing.
Are there any days you wake up and you're like, I'm just not feeling it today. I'm just gonna lay on my couch and not dance, not put anything out there.
Let me tell you this, man. God, let me tell you this. There are several days where I don't feel like doing it. But you know what? Once I start doing it, it's always a great feeling because of one reason. Because I know God is using me to make somebody smile and laugh, and I'm just passing off, good energy. So there are several times that I'm like, man, I do not feel like doing this today. And honestly, this past Monday, I danced in front of the Clemson building, and I was leaving the weight room, and I was like, oh man, I gotta dance. But once I start doing it, man, it's like, all right, let's go. And you guys laugh at this. When I record those dances, I don't practice them, as you guys can see, because I'm not the best dancer. But when I do it and I look at it as I'm walking off, it makes me laugh. I'm like, man, that was good. That was good. And then I know when I post it, man, somebody's going to get a laugh out of it, and it's going to encourage them. So yes, there are several days that I don't want to do it, but it's bigger than me. So I'm going to continue to do it until I can't do it no more.
It seems like there are two fundamentals of life, like truths that you have eliminated here. One is helping others gives you a sort of a greater feeling that you can get from anything else. And then number two, the ability to laugh at yourself is it is just such a great thing to carry, I think.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I always say is that we are all capable of serving each other at some capacity. It don't matter who you are, what you look like, where you're from. We are at our best when we serve each other. And then for me, I always tell people, I say, man, you have to be willing to celebrate yourself, love yourself, and you got to be willing to be able to laugh at yourself when you do good or when you fall, and got to get back up, And for me, I think I'm just a naturally happy person, which I've learned as I got older. So I can look at those videos and, laugh at myself.
You learned that you were a naturally happy person as you got older. That's a powerful thing to hear.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Because, people, as human beings, we don't see what other people see. We don't see our gifts. We don't see our greatness, our gifts, but other people can see it. And for the longest, I had coaches and people that would tell me, like, man, you got such a great personality. You need to show it more. You need to do more. As I got older, and I remember somebody asking me that question. They was like, "Do you think you're a happy, naturally person? A happy, you're naturally happy?" Because if you're around me, I mean, you see my posts, I got all the energy in the world, and I love to encourage people and give people energy. So as I got older, and people would say comments like that, and somebody asked the question, like, "Do you think you're a naturally happy person?" And I was like, you know what? I am, because I'm full of energy, and when I wake up, I feel that energy. I feel the need to, give some kind of encouragement and show my passion. So I am a naturally happy person, and I thank God for that, man. I don't think many people can really, I think, say that.
Is Instagram the primary platform you use?
Yeah, Instagram is the primary one. Of course, I got good old TikTok, and I have Facebook as well. But Instagram is definitely kind of the main one I definitely use. But I use all of them. I definitely use all of them.
Okay, Sapp Foundation, RSAPP Foundation on Instagram.
Yeah, and then dance and motivation speaker as well. I have separate pages on Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You said it's dancing motivational speaker?
Yep, on Instagram. Yep, dance and motivational speaker. That is just geared towards all my speaking. Yep.
Okay, great. Well, Ricky, you've been very generous with your time. This has been a total blast. What a great story, and you should be proud of yourself. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, man. I truly appreciate it.
I think Ricky got a kick out of being put on the spot with his singing at the beginning. He was a really good sport, and I can't thank him enough. I mean, go contribute to his cause. He gave the deets, the places to go. No reason not to help. Appreciate the support of our sponsors for continuing to make this happen. And, of course, thanks to every single one of you for hitting that play button every week. Again, we got one more coming this week, so stay tuned. Cheers.